We begin with the dozens of airports across the country that will see thousands of flights canceled over the coming days as the FAA deals with a shortage of air traffic controllers. At least 3 major airlines have already started cutting back. By 4:30 p.m. Eastern today, American, Delta, and United all had dozens of flights for Friday canceled. CBS News' Karen Hua has the details.
Hey, good to be with you. So Houston's Bush Airport here is just one of about 40 airports across the country that will be impacted. Starting tomorrow, airlines will cancel about 4% of flights, and then later next week, they'll cancel up to 10% of flights, which means across the board, thousands of commercial and cargo flights will be canceled or delayed. Trump officials say the main goal is to alleviate pressure from understaffed air traffic controllers who've been working without pay since mid-October. If there are too many planes and not enough air traffic controllers, that's a safety concern. Listen to what Transportation Secretary Sean Cudahy had to say.
We do not want to see disruptions at the FAA or here at DOT. We don't want that. But our number one priority is to make sure when you travel safely.
Now, taking a look at this misery map of the 40 airports that will be impacted, it includes major hubs like Denver and Atlanta. All 3 of the airports serving New York City and all 3 serving Washington, D.C. will be affected as well. Here at Houston's Bush Airport, people flying today tell us they're relieved they're missing the start of the airspace cuts coming on Friday. But they're worried whether or not their return flights may be impacted or even some of their Thanksgiving travel in a few weeks, depending on how long these airspace cuts go on for. Back to you.
Karen Hua, thank you. Sean Cudahy joins me now. He is a senior aviation reporter for the online publication The Points Guy. Sean, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Should travelers be nervous about flying right now or stressed about how their plans could get upended?
Well, Lindsay, I think when it comes to safety, I mean, you've heard the administration and really kind of leaders across the aviation industry say that flying remains safe. Now, that's not to say there hasn't been some risk introduced by, these, controllers that are very overburdened by short staffing, long hours, and an increasing number of colleagues that have been calling off of work here after weeks without pay. I think and I should add, a big reason that they are, cutting these flights is to kind of preserve safety and make it manageable for the controllers that are on duty. However, definitely, a chaotic situation for travelers this weekend, a frustrating situation. Already hearing about some, colleagues, friends, family that are, running into flight cancellations. Hundreds already for the weekend, and a lot more to come ahead.
And Frontier is actually telling people to buy backup tickets. Is that unprecedented?
Yeah, you don't too often hear, an airline CEO suggest, buying a ticket on another airline. But Frontier CEO Barry Biffle last night on social media did suggest that travelers have that backup plan on another airline in case their first flight falls through. Frontier is an airline, for instance, where they operate less than daily service on many of their routes. So, situation, they just don't want to see travelers get stranded.
Who is that even feasible for, buying 2 tickets for the same trip?
Yeah, you don't want it to get too pricey. On the other hand, what you can do, you can use points. A lot of the time, if you book a flight on points and then you cancel it, you can get your points back. Also, there are fully refundable fares out there. So, it is an option. It's definitely not an ideal option, but there's not a whole lot that's ideal about the situation that travelers are in right now, and obviously airlines either.
I just want to show you this graphic that we had really quickly showing the percentage of flight cancellation. So it's my understanding it's going to be 4%, then 5%, working up to the 10% of those cancellations. How much is this going to hurt?
Yeah, you think about kind of the worst type of snowstorm, the worst type of, thunderstorm delay that we see where those delays kind of cascade the cancellations kind of across the country. I think this is what we're going to be dealing with, kind of the equivalent of that for days on end here.
Sean Cudahy, thank you so much.